Well, no music on this one. So, Surviving R. Kelly came out recently, and I will be the first to admit, I have not watched that show. But honestly, I've been on the Get R. Kelly tip for quite a while. Those of you that have been longtime subscribers to my channel, you can go back through my history and see videos where I've at least called the man suspect. I mean, it's got to the point where even in the past year or so, I won't play his music at all. And I ain't gonna lie, I was a big fan at one time. But then the Aaliyah thing, then later the whole trial for the tape. Yeah, I know he was found not guilty, but not guilty does not always mean innocent. Just means there wasn't enough evidence to lock your behind up. But then all these stories, and then I seen some of these clips from the show. Like I said, I haven't watched the show, but I see some of these clips, and I'm like, wow. You can lock up, and I'm going to keep saying this, you could lock up Bill Cosby on a thread of evidence, on a thin thread, on a basically thin ice. Yet you can't get this guy who has basically a mountain. And the thing that disturbs me the most is, particularly from Chance the Rapper, when he said he basically didn't believe the stories because they involved black girls. Which is very, very disturbing. Very disturbing indeed. I mean, what makes, and I don't want to get into no pro-black mess, but what makes a white girl's life any more valuable than a black girl's? Oh, they be knowing what they doing, they trifling and this and that. Well, so what? So are a lot of the white women. So are a lot of the white girls. What? You don't think they don't be doing that? Because I guarantee you, if R. Kelly was doing this to white girls, oh no, he'd have been locked up a long time ago. A long time ago. As a matter of fact, hey, look how they went in on him when he did that Saturday Night Live performance with Lady Gaga. And Lady Gaga is of legal age. Very legal. So that just shows what society thinks about black women in general and black female children in particular. And for those that are going to come on here and maybe say, well, you need to be talking about this or that later for that. This is a problem that should have been handled a long time ago. And for those of you that say, well, we don't want no police involved, but they lynch our black men, which is true. Unfortunately, that's still a reality. They tend to go after black men a lot harder than, let's say, white men. But you know what? Later for that. And besides, there's been too much, you know what they say, there's smoke, there's fire, there's just way too much stuff around him. To the point where there's no defense I could give R. Kelly. It ain't like Bill Cosby, where a lot of the stories on him from a lot of these women were questionable. Especially the ones they kept putting up front. Their stories were very questionable. Whereas with R. Kelly, there's little to no defense. And by the way, if you went in on Bill Cosby, but now trying to defend R. Kelly for whatever reason, then, you know, just get away from me. Because I'm like, wait a minute. You go in on Bill Cosby, who had very little, and at the very least, they broke the law to convict him. Yet you got a virtual easy case with this guy, and very little to nothing is being done which makes me think that some of these people in law enforcement, some of these people in management, some of these people around him, they're in on it. And that's probably why some of the black celebrities, particularly that were asked, Dave Chappelle, Mary J. Blige, and Jay-Z, just to name a few, didn't want to speak on the surviving R. Kelly thing, because it makes me wonder if Kelly don't got something on each one of them. Or they've profited off of him and they just want to distance themselves just to keep their careers salvaged. So this doesn't surprise me. And quite frankly, this is one time, no, I'm not going to defend somebody just because they're black like me. And that's been one of our problems. If we're going to take that stance of we don't want, the white man or white supremacy coming in, oh, don't call the police and this, that. If you're going to take that stance, then you better be willing to handle your business. You better be willing to handle your business. You better be willing to step up and clean up and handle your business. If you're not going to call it outside sources. And let's be honest, a lot of us don't do that. And for those of y'all that are now condemning R. Kelly, but a few years ago, y'all was jamming to Step in the Name of Love or The Chocolate Factory, y'all just doing this because it's the hip thing to do. And for those that might accuse me of that, I want you to go and check my channel, check my profile, type in Irvin Griffin on R. Kelly, and you will find at least 5 or 6 videos where I talk about this very same thing. In fact, the closest I ever came to defending him was that time the dude tried to sue him because he found out his wife was sleeping with R. Kelly, even though she was a longtime groupie of his, which I still say to this day, that's on him. That's on him. That's not really on R. Kelly on that one. But that's probably the only time you'll ever hear me take up for him on that. Everything else, I'm not feeling sorry for this dude at all. So whatever happens to him, happens to him. That's all I got to say on this. I'm out.